Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you everyone for your presence today at a Friday afternoon. Hopefully everyone is always be staying in healthy conditions as well as you're under the protection of Allah, especially in this Friday afternoon. Hopefully everyone is blessed in this Jummah Mubarak. So before we begin with this, we begin our sessions. Actually, it's going to be a very useful as well as a knowledgeable session for all of us. Let us recite Bismillahirrahmanirrahim so that this today event would be blessed as well as given full of barakah by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. So, my name is Rumansyah Siddiq Wardana. I'm from Business Development Team ALAMI Group. I'll be your MC today, and heading towards our today's sessions entitled Webinar of the Blockchain Technology for Islamic Social Instruments within the partnership with the ALAMI Group as well as IBF Net. So what is the intention or objective of this today webinar? Today's webinar is about to, it's a sort of unifications of a partnership between ALAMI and IBF Net, how actually the Islamic finance education and literacy could be harnessed and could be integrated by both parties, both in Indonesia, ASEAN countries, Malaysia, and even the other international area where Islamic finance could be harnessed and cultivated in terms of its beneficial. And our guest of honor today, I'm very pleased to have Mr. Dimajani as our CEO of ALAMI Group. Then we have Mr. Alim as a CEO of IBF Net Group. Then we have Mr. Fitoy as a CPO or Chief Product Officer of ALAMI Group. And we have Mr. Imad as a Director of Finance from IBF Net, as well as we have Mr. Wahid Asad Muslimin as a director of ALAMI Institute, actually a homegrown ALAMI group focused on the Islamic finance, literacy, and education. So without further ado, today's session will be started and will be initiated with the recitation of Dua or Quran by Mr. Agus Haryanto from ALAMI Group. So the floor is yours, Mr. Agus.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم.
Sadaqallahul Azim. Jazakallahu khairan kathiran for Mr. Agus for your Quran recitations. Hopefully all of us is blessed by Allah, and especially in this Ajr or especially in this Friday afternoon time, that all of the dua, all of the prayers are being accepted and all being directly answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min ya Rabbal Alamin. And then our next will be I think most of the attendees here will be very, very curious about ALAMI, even though some of you have been exposed, have been knowing about ALAMI profile. So the marketing communications team have prepared a video montage about ALAMI Group. So please enjoy the video and marketing team will play it immediately.
Allamal Quran, khalaqal insan, allamahul bayan, asyamsu wal qamar.
Indonesia is a large archipelagic country located in Southeast Asia and often referred to as the most populous Muslim country in the world. And while over 80% of Indonesia's near 300 million citizens are Muslim, the penetration rate of Sharia financial services remain low at under 10%. However, with the recent growth of the local halal economy, there is a huge opportunity for Indonesia to increase the adoption rate of Sharia financial products.
From the humble beginning of our journey in 2018, we have committed to put forth a vision of how the principles of Sharia that uphold the values of ethics, high governance, and fairness to society could enable financial industry to bring a more equitable society if implemented right and at scale. And these values have brought us now as the leading Sharia-compliant financial technology platform worldwide and will pave the way in creating a sustainable digital halal ecosystem in years to come.
ALAMI began by launching a peer-to-peer lending platform in 2019, focused on providing productive and Sharia-compliant loans to small to medium enterprises. Fast forward 2 years, we are now the leading global SME fintech lending platform, having disbursed over $100 million across over 3,000 loans. While this has impacted many SMEs and local farmers, it has also provided investment opportunities for many retail funders to support local Islamic entrepreneurs while also achieving solid returns. In 2021, ALAMI was awarded Best P2P Financing Platform at the Assets Islamic Finance Awards, a culmination on top of many local and international awards received within our first 2 years of operations. This success, as well as increasing market demands, prompted us to begin expanding our line of business into additional verticals within the Islamic financial industry. In March 2021, we successfully acquired the only Sharia rural bank in Jakarta, proceeded to develop app-based digital banking services, and rebranded it Hijrah Bank, a Sharia-compliant digital bank for the discerning Islamic community. To date, over 20,000 people have signed up for early access, and counting. In addition to providing financial services, ALAMI is also increasing demand in the market by launching the Arkam Business Accelerator, providing training and mentorship to over 1,300 entrepreneurs in its first batch alone in November 2021. The initiative is expected to accelerate the growth of Islamic SMEs through a combination of knowledge sharing, as well as access to business tools, markets, and working capital. And to help increase Islamic financial literacy in the country, we have also launched the ALAMI Institute in 2021, a think tank and research hub to push innovation in Islamic finance, as well as improving the awareness and understanding among stakeholders, from academics to the average Muslim seeking barakah in attaining financial independence. We believe that this is only the beginning, a spark, igniting a bigger movement towards establishing our vision of a digital halal ecosystem that accommodates the need for halal transactions that are both accessible and user-friendly for Indonesia and beyond.
Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Everyone, we have been presented with such a humble beginning from Alami Group, your integrated Sharia financial solutions. So it's not going to be a very official, or it will be very great if we hear directly from this co-founder and CEO of Alami Group, Mr. Dima Audrajani, to open the sessions today. Inshallah, the floor is yours, Mr.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Firman, for the introduction. Just want to say hi and salam here to our brothers, Abdullah, Alim, Imad, and all of the IBF team, and also welcoming all the Alami team, Itoy, Wahid, and the others that have spent our day off, which is supposedly Friday. We're taking only 4 days a week to attend this ceremony. So inshallah, this will be a barakah and will be a new future, especially on the social finance front. As we know that in Islamic finance, there's another aspect in addition to the commercial one, which is the social one. This is the sector that's been underpenetrated so far, and a lot of people hasn't really paid attention, let alone on the technological side of it. So I think while we're seeing a vast development of technology in the financial space, including the blockchain over a couple of years ago, I think this is the time for us as the actors in the Islamic finance industry to start embracing it, especially for the better cause, which is on the social finance part. There are a lot of things that will be discussed in the webinar. So very excited to join and attend the webinar and very excited for this cooperation. Inshallah, this will bring barakah, not only for us, but also for the industry going forward. Inshallah. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Dima, for your opening remarks. So for the next one, we'll be hearing as well from our notable partners, Sir Alim, as the CEO of IBF Group, and the floor is yours, Alim.
All right, thank you. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all of you. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you all to this event, which signifies the beginning of an exciting collaboration between IBF Group and ALAMI Group with a focus on ALAMI Institute. Now, we immensely value this partnership as we aim to develop knowledge products and solutions in Islamic economics and finance, and build a community of students, researchers, and professionals that are exposed to the applications of emerging technologies such as blockchain and AI. Now, IBFNet is specifically focused on the Algorand blockchain technology, as we find this to be the technology of the future, being scalable, secure, and decentralized, and which comes from some of the finest minds from MIT. Now, as you may be aware, IBFNet Group has already introduced a few certification programs in blockchain technology, as well as its application in Islamic business and finance sectors. IBFNet has also introduced platforms and is working on a few more as part of its mother project to build a miniature Islamic economy on the blockchain. I invite all of you to join us as members and benefit from these services in a number of ways. You may visit ibfnet.ie and sign up there. Now, as part of our partnership with ALAMI, we look forward to developing knowledge products in the area of Islamic social finance, develop knowledge solutions, capacity building programs, research programs, and so on. We also look forward to organizing webinars and forums at regular intervals, and today's webinar marks the start of it. On behalf of IBFNet Group, I once again welcome everyone to this webinar, and I look forward to some very useful webinars, research forums, training programs, and discussion events in the near future, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Alim. So we have heard such a very gorgeous and mashallah, humble, notable opening remarks from both parties of ALAMI Group as well as IBFNet Group. So here you are. We're going to present the MOU signing as a symbolic representations from our today partnership between ALAMI Group as well as IBFNet Group that will be represented by Mr. Vitoy Witaksana as a Chief Product Officer of ALAMI Group, as well as Mr. Alim as a CEO of IBFNet Group. So there will be a Google Jamboard provided by our marketing team. Yours in front of your screen. Yeah, I think it's working now. All right, so I let Mr. Vitoy Witaksana as our CPO to sign first, then will be followed by Mr. Alim.
All right. Okay.
All right, great. Well done for Mr. Fito and Mr. Alim. I think we would like to take a photo, moment of truth today about the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between ALAMI Group and IBF Net Group. Hopefully this partnership will be nurtured, will be harnessed, and will be always be blessed, bestowed with a lot of abundant blessing by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, hence in the area of Islamic finance, whether it is in Islamic social finance or Islamic commercial finance, inshallah. So please, I think the marketing team or the technical team has completed the screen. Okay, well done, sure. So without further ado, for the next one, we're going to heading to one of the most awaited event that will be led by Mr. Wahid Asad Muslimin as a director of ALAMI Institute. So this event would be exploring more about the usage, utilizations of blockchain technology for Islamic social finance. So Mr. Wahid is our director of Islamic ALAMI Institute, our home ground Islamic Finance Institute, and is currently undertaking his PhD degree at the Lancaster University with the focus of the Islamic finance, and believing his demonstrated experience in the Islamic finance coming from banking and educated in Islamic finance, and our speakers would be Mr. Fito and Mr. Alim. So I hand this over for the webinar sessions to you, Mr. Wahid. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Firmansyah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wa bihi nasta'in wa ala umuri dunya waddin, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for this great opportunity for us today for this very exciting webinar, and also may peace and blessings upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To our distinguished guests from both ALAMI and also the IBF Net Group, and all of the participants of this event, all praises of peace and blessings for everyone. As Mr. Firmansyah mentioned, so let me introduce myself. Beforeward, my name is Wahid Asad Muslimin, so you can call me Wahid. Okay, so currently I'm leading the ALAMI Institute. It's think tank organization or a think tank institution in the Islamic fintech industry, inshallah. And currently today I would serve as the moderator for this event. So as we all know, today a very significant issue in the Muslim world, which is the poverty. So currently there are around like 700 million people live in extreme poverty. So one of the solutions that Islam proposed is the social instruments. So the such as zakat, wakaf, or the ziswaf, the instruments of ziswaf. So, however, there are a lot of particular issues in the management and also the government of these instruments. So one method to alleviate this issue is by using technology. And today we're going to explore one of the very recent technology, which is blockchain. So with the blockchain, through transparent and immutable nature of blockchain, so we can improve many aspects of these Islamic social instruments. Hopefully, at the end of this session, we'll have clarity regarding the potential of this blockchain in Islamic social instruments, especially to help promote its usage in the sector, in this sector. Now, we now have two speakers, which I'm very exciting to hear their presentation. We have Mr. Muhammad Imad, the finance director from the IBF Net. Hello, Mr. Imad. I hope you're good today. And also we are having Mr. Fito Wicaksono, CPO or Chief Product Officer of the ALAMI Group. So I'm sure their expertise will provide clarity of today's session, inshallah. For anyone who would like to raise any questions, we encourage you to write them down in the Zoom chat, which will be discussed later in our Q&A session right after the presentations. Without further ado, we invite Mr. Muhammad Imad to start his presentation. The Zoom is yours, Mr. Imad.
Thank you, Brother Wahid. It's a pleasure to be here and share on behalf of IBFNet. So I'll discuss some of the solutions as use cases of blockchain applications in Islamic social finance. Just before that, am I audible to everyone? Okay.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, brother.
Okay, so I'll discuss some of the solutions as use cases of blockchain applications in Islamic social finance. As you may know, IBFNet has been focusing primarily on development solutions for this case. So I'll discuss some of the solutions that have been rolled out as well. So let me just share my screen. I'm unable to share the screen at the moment. Some setting issue. Okay, hopefully you all can see the presentation now. Okay. So Islamic social finance, as we know, broadly has several components. Understandably, it has philanthropy or the charity component, which comprises of sadaqah, which is a broad term for charity in Islam. And when it becomes compulsory and is levied on an annual basis in a compulsory manner on every Muslim who fulfills a certain criteria, it takes the form of zakat. Sadaqah can also take the form of waqf when it is a continuous charity or when the benefits from the charity are expected to flow over a prolonged period of time. So broadly, when we look at these philanthropy-driven instruments like sadaqah, zakat, and waqf, these are the most important components of Islamic social finance. Along with these, non-profit instruments such as Qard Hasan, which is known as interest-free loan, or kafala, which is giving guarantee without any consideration. These make up the Islamic social finance sector, which, as Brother Dima said, is no less important than the commercial finance sector, though understandably more developments have taken place in the commercial sector. As social finance is deemed to have been a late starter, even though sadaqah, zakat, and waqf have roots that go way back, as we know zakat to be the third pillar of Islam. However, we find the contemporary developments rather slow, both in research and in practice for this field. We find a similar case with regards to blockchain when we talk about the developments in commercial finance, as we see buy now, pay later platforms, among other developments. And zakat, sadaqah, and waqf developments lag behind, but fortunately not by much, as we see more and more entities adopt and develop in the field, IBFNet being one of them. The rules of zakat and sadaqah can be found in classical fiqh, and contemporary scholars have advocated a move towards a greater liberal way of looking at things, instead of having very strict rules, which may potentially inhibit or become stumbling blocks, because these are rooted in benevolence and are rooted in greater virtues. And therefore, scholars have generally advocated a liberal way to deal with the rules. But at the same time, the historical nature of frameworks that we find across different societies present variances because of factors such as different geographical factors, time variations, different thought processes and such. But we're fortunate enough to be in a time where the contemporary scholars are more liberal in the way of thinking. So when we talk about innovation, it can perhaps find a better and faster acceptance by the stakeholders. But at the same time, a general rule that applies or prevails is that we have to be more careful in innovations when it comes to zakat management as compared to the commercial sector. Innovation of any kind should always lead to better Sharia compliance rather than getting into areas of disagreement or divergence of views. And there are variations and areas of disagreements already because of the factors that I mentioned just now. But when you talk about innovation, especially due to emerging technologies, it must ideally lead to better acceptance and better Sharia compliance. Now, what can we think of in terms of better Sharia compliance with blockchain? One instance would be the identification of beneficiaries, because these are charity-driven institutions. The beneficiaries have always been of utmost importance. And in the case of Sadaqah, for example, it's supposed to have the least amount of binding rules, kind of like a free charity. But governance is a requirement or is expected from zakat institutions that they should honor the wishes of the donors. So if you raise funds under a specific banner or a campaign, the funds must be utilized for the same purpose. Though this is not bound by Sharia, it is desirable in the interest of good governance. However, when it comes to zakat, the nature of the beneficiaries has been explicitly outlined by Sharia, that there are 8 eligible categories and only people belonging to these categories are eligible to receive zakat. So as a zakat institution has a binding constraint on it, that it must make sure as an agent of a zakat payer, it must ensure that the funds are utilized, are distributed, to beneficiaries belonging to these 8 categories. In the case of waqf, the intention of the person making the waqf is at the top. The intention of the person is recorded in the waqf deed. And it must be ensured that the intention of the waqif or the endower is put into practice, and nothing that is contrary to the donor's intention should take place. These are some of the most important constraints which relate to the identification of beneficiaries. And this is one of the ways in which blockchain-based identification of beneficiaries can lead to better Sharia compliance. Now let's take a look at an example of this. This was an award-winning use case where digital identity was used for the first time for Syrian refugees. Now it's obvious when humanitarian aid is given to displaced persons, there is an immediate problem of identity, and traditional paper-based documents, there's a problem with that of leakages in the system. And it also gives room to fraudulent practices, which can be prevented by the use of blockchain identities because of the on-chain mechanism. So the whole process from the hands of the identified vendors to the hands of the beneficiaries can be ensured. So this was one of the first use cases of blockchain and digital identity used for humanitarian assistance. And another use case of digital identity is that it can be used to bring down high remittance costs that exist in some areas of this world. Some places, the remittance cost can be as high as 20% of the amount that you are trying to remit for beneficiaries. And the use of blockchain can come in handy in such a situation where the transfers are instantaneous and costless. This was also more recently seen in the case of Ukraine, where massive amounts of donations were possible via cryptos because of these features of blockchain technology. So to kind of sum up the first part, innovation in this field should always lead to better Sharia compliance. And in the case of blockchain, it does this by enhancing transparency and accountability, because it is tamper-proof, immutable, and this is very, this is part of the very nature of this technology. So it kind of fulfills a very critical component or requirement of the Islamic social finance sector. Certain governance factors do exist currently, such as in the case of zakat institutions, in order to ensure the right beneficiaries. But with the application of blockchain, this can be taken a step further. And the same is the case for awqaf, where certain terms of the waqif need to be ensured. So let's move on to the second part of my part of the webinar, which is where I talk about some of the platforms or solutions that have been introduced by IBF-Net. So first and foremost, let's talk about benevolence. The uniqueness of this platform is that it brings the two forms of sadaqah under one platform, the two forms being the sadaqah of assets and the sadaqah of efforts. As we know, sadaqah or charity doesn't always have to be a donation of funds. It can be as simple as a smile, or even as simple as removing an obstacle from the road or from someone's path. So sadaqah not only includes funds, but it also includes actual human activity, such as benevolent acts or volunteering. So when we talk about non-profit or charitable organizations, they not only require funds, but also require volunteering in terms of time and efforts. So our platform Benevolence tries to ensure both kinds of sadaqah are utilized in a unified manner. So the platform basically uses a type of cryptos or social cryptos as a kind of remuneration for the volunteers, because volunteering itself doesn't necessarily mean that it should be an effort with zero remuneration. It could be a below market thing as well. For example, if you are a teacher and you want to volunteer for teaching, you don't necessarily have to teach with zero wage. You could teach for a below market wage, and there would be an aspect of volunteering in it. So it doesn't always have to be all or nothing. It can be a nice mix of the two. And this is what is possible in our Benevolence platform, where a volunteer can contribute by accepting a below market rate as well. Just a second. Yeah. Now, when we take a look at a broader framework, such as Maqasid al-Sharia, we find that there are many more ways of contributing instead of just sadaqah of assets and efforts. It can be any activity that helps achieve the goals of Sharia, which is something we should strive for. Now, this is the fivefold framework, which is the most popular one used by scholars. So it includes any actions that helps protect or nurture either nafs or self, faith or deen, intellect or aql, posterity or nasl, and property or mal. Now, beyond the Islamic framework, we find the SDGs, which relate to the development and protection of not only people, but the planet. And we find an alignment between the two frameworks, and the platform Confluence underlines this alignment and tries to measure and promote social impact and sustainability projects based on blockchain. So the first phase of how this works is the measurement of impact from the standpoint of the SDGs and the Maqasid al-Sharia, whether they come from the UN framework or the Islamic framework. We can measure the impact with either framework because of the common objectives and alignment between them. And in the second phase, once you're given a score and perhaps you want to change the score, for example, if you wish to present yourself as a more environmentally friendly project or an individual, you can always work to change that through a mechanism we call impact exchange. This basically allows actors to acquire impact units based on impact that has already been created, and they can achieve their target of the risk return impact portfolio. So this is broadly the stages of how the impact measurement and scoring works. And we don't really have to get into a lot of detail here. So I'll move on. So once you have the impact in phase 2, once you have the impact, you can earn or liquidate this impact. And thanks to blockchain technology, we can measure it using a wide range of different metrics which suit certain specific projects. For example, an environment-related project can use carbon footprints as metrics. Healthcare project can use ambulance miles, and so on and so forth. And projects or individuals can accordingly be credited the social cryptos for the impact that they have created. Once they have earned these cryptos, they can always liquidate part of the cryptos and raise additional funds. And those who want to acquire can always acquire through the social crypto mechanism. And they can enhance their score with respect to certain SDGs or maqasid al-sharia. And they can always achieve their targeted risk return impact profile. It is primarily a B2B solution for projects and project owners, but it can also be used by individuals. So the basic issues it addresses from the conventional way of achieving impact, conventional ways such as crowdfunding and others, where the funds are raised first and then the project owners utilize these funds. There seems to be a time lag between this, and this time lag can be reduced to 0 if the impact is created first and the cryptos are then allocated and then change hands. So secondly, Confluence reduces the bias in terms of measurement, as it is a third party that will do the due diligence. And finally, it allows for the possibility to change your portfolio or the nature of your portfolio for the kind of change that you want to bring in through the impact exchange. And lastly, I have one more platform to talk about. IBFNet has also introduced platforms like Credence, which help preserve digital assets by converting them into NFTs. Credence can specifically be used for the Awqaf sector. It can ensure blockchain-based documentation by placing the Waqf deeds on the blockchain. This would ensure that the ownership and the possession of the Waqf assets are transparent and cannot be tampered with. It can also be combined with smart contracts to facilitate the investment of private capital for the development of Waqf assets. And with this, I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and back to you, Brother Wahid.
Thank you very much, Brother Imad. Oh, wow, that was a very exciting presentation, Brother Imad, on the application of blockchain, especially on the Islamic social finance. When you mentioned about Confluence and also the Credence, we are going to discuss more about this at the Q&A session, inshallah. But right now, we are going to move forward to Brother Fitoy Wicaksana, inshallah. We are going to discuss more about blockchain and Islamic social finance instruments. Go ahead, Brother Fitoy, the Zoom is yours.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Brother Wahid, for the opportunities that has been given to me. And then what an amazing presentations from Brother Imad. I think I've learned a lot from the presentation alone. So I'm going to share you guys a presentation related to the potential of blockchain technology that can be implemented in Indonesia. It's very specific to Indonesian landscape. So let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah, as we know that blockchain has becoming kind of like household terms right now, but it's actually has been there forever. Like I think blockchain has been founded around 2008 by Satoshi Nakamoto. We don't even know who this guy is right now. So blockchain technology has been there for a while, but thankfully, because of the situation right now with the pandemics, the terms has coming to Southeast Asia. and then come to Indonesia. And it's becoming kind of like a buzzword right now in Indonesia. So we're going to discuss the potential of blockchain technology for Islamic social instruments. And then thank you for the opportunity that has been given to me today. So hopefully we can learn a lot of stuff from these presentations. So there will be 4 different topics that I'm going to cover today. So the first one will be a little bit of step back. So we're going to discuss what blockchain is actually. I mean, this is kind of like a new term here in Indonesia. So I'll try to explain it in the simplest way to you guys, so you can get on board into these terms. And then the next one is I'm going to kind of like explain the current Islamic social instruments in Indonesia. And then the third part, we're going to discuss the potential of blockchain on Islamic social instruments. And then the last part, we're going to discuss a bit of the current examples of the usage of blockchain in Islamic social finance, on top of what Brother Imad has been discussed before. So let's start with the blockchain. So I took 2 definitions of blockchain, one from IFC and then the second one is from OECD. So if you look at the IFC definition, blockchain is basically a database ledger that functions as a distributed network. So it's a massive network consisted of a lot of computational engine. And then blockchain can register blocks of secure and tamper-proof data with members of a network. That's the definition that we got from IFC. And then OECD tell us that the blockchain is a shared ledger of transactions between parties in the network. Again, talking about network. And then it is not controlled by a single central authority. So, so according to the research from Deloitte Global, blockchain is a very important technology for the futures, because during this research, Deloitte conducted this research to the senior executives and then the practitioners. Most of them, like 78% respondents, sees digital assets and blockchain as important on the industry. They already know that this is important. And then 78% of them believes there is a compelling business case for using blockchain, digital asset or cryptocurrency and their organizations or project. They believe, they may not know, but they believe this is something that they need to pursue in the future. And then another fact is 70% of respondents agree that their organizations will lose a competitive advantage opportunity without adopting blockchain. So it's kind of like a consensus in the world right now that this is a game changer. Like a Brother Imad said that look at the Ukraine situation right now. It's so easy if we can donate our money using the blockchain network, right? But we can just like give it to them without any third parties that will help us to facilitate these transactions, right? So again, this is the future. And then this is kind of like to be frank, also in ALAMI we are exploring this because we believe in Sharia finance. We can get a lot of benefit from utilizing this blockchain technology. So this is the definition. So to make it simple, blockchain is kind of like a massive ledger contributed by massive network, and then there is no single central authority. So it's decentralized. Okay, so what are the characters of a blockchain? So at least there are 5 main characteristics of blockchain, which separate blockchain technology from the conventional technology that we're using right now. The first one is blockchain is distributed. So the database is maintained and held by all computers on the network without a central authority. So the database is distributed throughout the network, the nodes that is there in the blockchain. And then it's generally immutable. So the data in the blockchain generally cannot be changed. It cannot be changed, immutable. And then this is one of the biggest difference of blockchain technology compared to other technology, because the data cannot be changed. And then it is because of the hashing technology that is happening in the backend of blockchains. So data can be read, and then data can be written but cannot be changed. cannot be decrypted, and so on. And then the third one is transparent, promoting the transparent. So blockchain is a public ledger which can be viewed by anyone and is timestamped. So anything related to a data in the blockchain is timestamped. Like it's so clear, so everybody can see it. So it's very transparent. And then the fourth one is programmable. So with smart contracts, blocks of transactions can be programmed and create automated instructions. Smart contracts is also another differentiating things from another technology. So a smart contract is a digital contract that is written on the blockchain that can be executed automatically when the terms and conditions are met. So whenever a terms and condition has been met, then the programs will be executed. So there is no noise at all. I mean, it's clear, 0 or 1. If it's met the requirements, it will be executed. And then the next one, the last one, is it's based on consensus. So we talked in the first slide that there is no single authority, and then that's also the characteristic, right? So blocks can only be added with approval of participants in the network through a certain consensus mechanism. So those are the 5 main characteristics of blockchain. And then to give you like a clearer use case of blockchain, this is how does a blockchain work. So for example, Ahmed wants to send money to Yusuf and sends the money through a Z-Wallet app. So yeah, Yusuf is the brother of Ahmed, and then Ahmed wants to share like his first salary, for example. And then the app then will alert miners, the blockchain miners, who would verify the transactions. So there are a lot of options, right? Because it's collection of the network. And then all transactions in the time frame are grouped in a block for verifications. The winner miners will verify the transaction block by completing cryptographic computations. And then the winner will receive the new cryptocurrency as reward. And a new block of data will be added to the blockchains. And then Ahmed and Yusuf's transactions is now valid. So there is no authority at all in these transactions, right? It's just like those who are verifying these transactions is the network. So this is how a blockchain works. Of course, there are a lot of advantages of blockchain. At least I put it here like 7 advantages. The first one is there is no single point of failure. So as the system is decentralized, the failure in one point would not spread to the others. Like for example, because we have a lot of networks, right? If one node is down, then it can be backed by another nodes. So no single point of failure. And then it's cost efficient. So there is no intermediation fees, unlike in any conventional financial institutions. So if you want to send money to people in Ukraine, I mean, you can just like send the money to the pockets. There is no like a third party that will need a fee to be able to facilitate the transactions. And then the transparency, the inclusions, the interoperability. So blockchain-based protocols are highly composable through methods such as tokenizations. And then higher innovations. The decentralized nature of blockchain allows for more innovations and freedom. And then also against the programmable, the characteristics is actually the advantages. So blockchain can use the smart contracts to automate contracts, and then reducing monitoring fees and improving trust. So it's very, very straightforward in using, if we use these smart contracts in making some transactions. But of course, behind the advantages, there is also risks. So the first one is obviously the sustainability concern. So the proof of work consensus mechanism needs a lot of energy because it requires a consensus. So everybody needs to say something about it. I mean, imagine if you are in the meeting, right? There are 10 people. Yeah, you will have like 10 different opinions. And then the next one is the privacy and AML/CFT concerns. The decentralizations of blockchain can potentially facilitate illegal transactions. And then cybersecurity. there are still major cases of cyber attacks on blockchain. And obviously, because there is no single like authority, the risk is around regulatory and governance barriers. As a blockchain is a decentralized global ledger, regulation is very, very difficult. And then I also asked to myself that, do we need regulations in blockchain? I'm still not finding it right now. Maybe Brother Ima can help me later when we have another discussion. So again, like based on the research from Deloitte Global Blockchain Survey, so there are two blocks here. What is the largest impact? The largest impact will be around the efficiency, such as faster payment, better compliance and transparency, enhancing the trust, and then competitive advantage, of course. And then the obstacle is around cybersecurity, regulatory barriers, financial infrastructures, and also the privacy. So these are the practical uses of blockchain. I think you guys, everybody here is familiar with the terms DeFi. So DeFi is a financial sector based on decentralized technology, which is built on top of the blockchain. And then the example is cryptocurrencies. And then DeFi provides services for many existing institutions, such as lending, saving, insurance, and also exchange. And then the other example is brought by Nestle. So we know Nestle. I believe we have used at least one Nestle product in daily basis. So Nestle is the first major food and beverage company to pilot blockchain in order to improve customer trust. So Nestle collect product data throughout the supply chain and stores it on the blockchains. So customer can just basically look at the detail of a product on blockchains to improve the transparency. Like for example, the ingredients of the product and etc. Okay, so that's a bit of blockchains. I hope you guys like have a bit familiarity about blockchains. Now we go into the Islamic social instruments in Indonesia. This is very potential. So yeah, the potential is there in Indonesia because zakat, infak, sadaqah fundraising, which is 12.4 trillion rupiahs in 2020, and then with such a huge growth in Indonesia, which is 32% year-on-year growth. And then according to Basnas, zakat fundraising potentially reaches 233.8 trillions. That's huge money. And then there are more than 400,000 locations of Waqf land in Indonesia with a total size of 55,000 hectares. And then Indonesia has also the largest Muslim populations. And then Indonesia is also the most generous country in the world according to the World Giving Index. So the potential is there actually. But if we go down into the issues that we have in Indonesia, we still have some. And then maybe not some, but many. So the first one is we still feel that we're still lacking in the lack of regulatory support, especially on the Waqf. And then technology use and digitalization is not yet optimized. I mean, we have seen some of the big tech players in Indonesia, e-commerce, try to kind of like digitize the sadaqah and the zakah, but the adoption is not very well right now. People still feel that giving zakah directly to the people will give more like an emotional feeling, something like that. So that's the second one. The technology use and digitalization is not yet optimized. The competency and professionality of both zakat, amil, and Waqf Nazir are still lacking. Awareness and knowledge by potential donors is also still lacking. Data and offer information system issues. And the last one is productivity and management of Waqf had not been optimized. So many issues. So if we want to kind of like summarize it into three big pillars of issues in Islamic social finance. The first one is in the collections. How can we optimize the collection of fund? The second one is how we manage the administration that is related to the social finance. And then the last one is distributions. How we can optimize the distributions of money that we have collected before. And then looking at those issues right now, let's see the impact of blockchain on Islamic social instruments that is happening right now. So, for example, the impact of blockchain on zakah. So we read the research around this. So blockchain can basically optimize the zakah by these items. So the identifications of mustahik through the transparent data. So we know who are the mustahik, and then the data will be maintained well in the blockchains. And then the second one is improving donor trust to transparency in zakat flow. After we've conducted some research around giving the donations, one of the issue that people still have right now is the result of their activity. So what happens if I give money to these people? What happens? Are they improve? Whether these people's life has been improving or not? So with this blockchain, the trust can be increased with related to the donor trust. And then improve time efficiency and cost effectiveness is calculations on zakah through data availability, improving the link between zakah payer and recipient, and obviously the last one is reducing human error and potential misappropriations. So this is the impact that we can see on zakah. And then what about in Waqf? I think Brother Imad has explained it in very well in the first presentations, but to summarize those, so Waqf blockchain can improve also the transparency, the traceability, and channeling to Waqf recipients. So it's related to, again, to the collections and then to the distributions. And then as there is a lack of data and historical record in Waqf, blockchain can improve transparency and disclosure, again, the transparency. The programmable contract can ensure the security and the accuracy of contract executions. And of course, it can also improve the fundraising through digitalizations and transparency, utilizing ICO, for example. And then the last one is, again, reducing human error and potential misappropriations. As we can see, both zakah and Waqf, blockchain can help a lot of like an issue with related to this to social finance instruments that Islamic value have. And then I think this is the example that is happening right now, the usage of blockchain in Islamic social instruments. The example is coming from Fintera, Waqf chains. So Fintera built this Waqf chain, and then this Waqf chain allows stakeholders to create and fund causes, submit project plans, and show it to the people for Waqf funding. And then this Waqf chain has been recognized as the world's first Waqf project. And then each project has a smart contract, of course, start after all the due diligence requirements are passed. So before it's included in the smart contract, it's still needed to have like a due diligence. And then after the fundraisings, the smart contracts can be claimed as representative of the stake in the specific Waqf. And then so far, Waqf chain has served 8 countries with 680 verified donors and impacting close to 10,000 lives in those 8 countries. So this is only one example. And then look at the impact. So there are at least 5 impact that Waqf chain has produced so far with regards to the Islamic social finances. It has created the transparency, and then the consensus mechanism eradicates potential corruptions because it's so direct. There is no intermediary. Integrated ecosystem of all stakeholders, fundraising for Islamic social finance, and also unlocking Waqf liquidity. This is only one example that is happening right now. There are a lot of examples, but we can discuss it further in the Q&A sections. I think that will be my last slide. Thank you so much. Back to Brother Wahid. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Brother Fitoy. It was a very comprehensive one. Inshallah, all of us could understand what is the blockchain and also the application, the potential of blockchain in Islamic social finance in Indonesia, especially in Indonesia. Okay, so we have a very exciting participants right now, Brother Vito and Brother Imad. So we have received a lot of questions from our attendees right now. So first, I would like to give the opportunity to three of these questions. So let me read to you, Brother Vito and Brother Imad. The first question is from Brother Muhammad to Brother Imad. So do you think use of technology like blockchain helps the poor and illiterate people? In what way? Isn't there a possibility that the poor may feel uncomfortable in an environment that focuses on technology? And also the second question is, do you consider buying and selling of tokens is halal? How are IBFX tokens deemed to be Sharia compliant when some prominent ulama have held trading in tokens to be haram? And the third question is for Brother Fitoy. So do you think blockchain, this is from Sister Uswah Hanat, do you think blockchain can support the fintech industry, Brother Fitoy? Okay, go ahead, Brother Imad and Brother Fitoy, to address these questions.
Okay. As I shared during my presentation earlier, blockchain ensures greater transparency and therefore more accountability among charity and humanitarian organizations when it comes to distributing zakat, sadaqah, and other forms of assistance among the poor. The use of technology will help the poor receive benefits in a more dignified way, obviously, because they don't have to stand in a queue and plead for help or assistance. The system would identify them in an impersonal way and distribute the benefits. I think it would also help organizations monitor the financial condition of the poor and ensure that they get out of poverty over a specific period of time, say 3 to 5 years. The provision of help and assistance year after year may also encourage a form of dependency among the poor without proper monitoring. So, and which is something that goes against the spirit of Islamic philanthropy, like zakat, which aims to transform a zakat beneficiary into a zakat payer. Could you please repeat the second question?
Sure, Brother Imad. So the second question was, do you consider buying and selling of tokens is halal? And how are the IBFX tokens deemed to be Sharia compliant when some prominent ulama have held trading in tokens to be haram?
Okay. I'm not a Sharia scholar for myself, so I can't, go out there and say if something is halal or haram just based off of what I know. But the concern of the ulama that has led them to deem token trading as haram basically relates to the rampant speculation and gambling that has been taking place in the marketplace, causing high fluctuations in the prices. And this is, indeed a very valid concern that we share at IBFNet as well. But there are ways to curb and minimize such volatility and the possibility of speculation and gambling, such as at IBFNet, we've opted to stay away from listing our tokens on trading exchanges. So there's no volatility. And at the same time, we take care of the liquidity needs of the token holders or the need to convert the tokens into cash by providing a buyback option at a predetermined and stable rate. So these are some of the ways that we look to curb and minimize what the ulama see as a haram for token trading.
All right, I see. Thank you, Brother Imad, for addressing these questions. Let's move forward to Brother Fitoy. Go ahead, brother. The question was, do you think blockchain can support the fintech industry, brother?
Yeah, I mean, like as I mentioned before, I think this is the future technology that will give a lot of advantage to the companies, right, including the fintech company in Indonesia. I mean, I personally believe that this technology can help us a lot in optimizing the financial related activity that we have right now. One of the most one of the very obvious activity that can be improved with this financial tech with this like blockchain technology is in social finance. So for example, like in Indonesia, Indonesia is an archipelago, right? I mean, it consists by like more than 10,000 islands in Indonesia, right? And then it must be there will always an issue whenever we want to collect the money, right? So with blockchains, we don't need to do that anymore. So we don't need to collect that and then store it somewhere, and then after that we do some kind of like an audit and then share it to the mustahik, for example. With the blockchain technology, we can just like we kind of like do it in very instant, like. So there is no needs for going into several nodes before it reaches the mustahik. And then there is the social finance, and then in the commercial finance, for example. So we can see like a huge growth in the crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending, right? These two sectors, these two practices can be improved a lot using the blockchain technology. So to summarize, I can think more, I can talk more about this, but to be honest, and then I strongly believe that it can, I mean, the blockchain technology, if we use it in the right way, it can optimize our fintech industry.
Yeah, this is very interesting one, Brother Fitri. So in regard to this question, when do you think Indonesia can implement such a technology, you know, especially for the Islamic social finance in Indonesia?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is tricky questions, but I'm a very optimistic guy. so currently this is something that we are researching right now in ALAMI. So we can see like generally speaking, we can see it's happening here in Indonesia in the next 2-3 years, I think. But we need to have a lot of effort here, right? So we need to
right, yeah,
improve the literacy of people. And I think this webinar is very good as a starter to improve the literacy of people. Then of course we also need the support from the regulators, right? But believe me, people are researching this blockchain technology. But what we can see right now, the applications of blockchain has not be put into the world of social impact, right? So we can see there are a lot of like company that is using and or harnessing the blockchains, but not related to the social impact. Like for example, we can see like a cryptocurrency exchange. I mean, I don't know if it will bring the social impact, but obviously it will huge impact for personals, right? And then the NFT marketplace also, I don't know if it's solving the social impact issue, but I think after seeing what Brother Imad has explained before, there's a potential in doing that actually. So yeah, 2 and 3 years, hopefully, Brother Wahid, and pray for us. Maybe ALAMI can be the first one, can be the first one that implement this.
Inshallah,
okay, on the social finance.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Brother Fitoy. Okay, so let's move on to the other 3 questions right now. So we have so many questions. I'm trying to pick some of the question which I deem to be very interested. So I have 2 questions from Mrs. Fabri Alami. So the first question is if there are cases of network failure or cyber attacks causing financial loss with the blockchain users, who will bear the loss? To whom the blockchain users can submit their claim and complaints to? And also the second one, who can audit the blockchain network and infrastructure of a certain provider operating using the blockchain system. And the last one is a question for Brother Imad. Are the IBF social cryptos is Sharia compliant too, brother? Okay, so just let me know if I need to reread the questions, because it's I know it's kind of too long. Do we want to start with Brother Fitoy or Brother Imad? Go ahead.
I think if Brother Fitoy doesn't mind, he can go first.
Okay. So the question from February, right? The first one is, who will bear the loss if
there is any network failure?
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not like a super expert on this one, but I try to answer it. Maybe Brother Imad can edit later. So currently, the one that will bear the biggest loss will be the user who use that. So like if we can see, like a few months ago, I think there is this like a cryptocurrency called Squid. I mean, it's so trending all over the world, and then the price has go beyond imaginations. Like I think like more than 1 million %, and then it's gone, and then nobody will bear the responsibility. It's basically a scam, and then the one who will bear the loss will be the customers. And then there is also the risk that I've talked earlier, right? So there is no such thing as like a strict regulations here. It's just like a consensus-based discussions, right? So that's why one of the that's why that is also one of the biggest risks here in the blockchains. And then the next one regarding the one who can audit the blockchain.
Audit blockchain, yes.
Yeah, I think recently there are like emerging like institutions that is going into this area, and then one of the most famous one is called Certic. So the Certic is basically helping the blockchain project owner to kind of like audit everything that they have. And then if you look at the trend right now, for a project owner that has the certifications, it will boost in term. I mean, their brand will be boosted a lot. So I don't know, beside the certic, but what I can see right now, there are like emerging organizations that is handling this right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Brother Fitoy. Go ahead, Brother Imad.
Okay, so the question if our IBF social cryptos are Sharia compliant. Yes, IBF social cryptos are Sharia compliant. They basically help non-profits and social organizations raise more funds by monetizing the impact they've already made. Our IBF social cryptos have been scrutinized and have been observed to be Sharia compliant by the UK-based Amana advisors. So I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have, since we still have some times, Brother Imad and Brother Fitoy.
Yeah.
Are you agree to open another 3 questions?
Yes, man.
Okay.
We will try
right.
our best to answer that.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So let's go for it, yeah. So we have so many questions right now, especially in regards to the Sharia compliant of the Sharia point of view of the blockchain technology. So there is one question by Brother Syed Muhammad from Asia University, Malaysia. So he said that the idea of using blockchain technology for helping the socio-economic issues in Indonesia is outstanding. However, the issue of Sharia point of view needs to be clear. Otherwise, it will be a big challenge to be implemented. What is your opinion on this issue? That's the first question. And the second one, what are the future plans of IBF net, Brother Imad? Okay, and for Brother Fitoy, this is also from Sharia perspective. So from Indonesian case, does Indonesia have regulations governing blockchain already? And how from the perspective of the Majelis Ulama Indonesia? That's for Brother Fitoy. So
Okay.
go ahead, Brother Imad and Brother Fitoy.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Brother Imad.
Okay. So for the first question, I can't really comment on it since it seems to be an issue that is more localized to Indonesia and seems to be a slightly more sensitive issue. But I think if
Fair enough,
if
brother.
the view needs to change, then it's the people who have to, collectively increase awareness in that area and then push for the change.
Indeed, yes.
With regards to the future plans of IBF Net, without getting too much into detail, I'll just say this, that we've already created a network of students, researchers, and professionals that are interested in Islamic business and finance. And we further plan to expand this network to include other stakeholders in the Islamic business and finance space, such as buyers and sellers of halal goods and services, to help create a halal ecosystem. And we're trying this on our platform that's already kind of up, as our CEO mentioned at the start of this webinar, where you can go and try it out at ibfnet.ie. I think if someone can just put it in the chat.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brother Fitoy.
Okay, so this is related to the socio-economic issues in Indonesia. The question is, the idea of using blockchain technology for helping the socio-economic issues in Indonesia is outstanding. However, the issue of Sharia point of view needs to be cleared. Otherwise, it will be a big challenge to be implemented. What is your opinion on this issue? I agree with you, brother Sheikh Muhammad Shahrizal. I think, I mean, as I mentioned before, we're doing research on this one, right? And then the way we conduct our research is basically into two different area. The first one into the technology, and then the second one into the Sharia compliant issue. So and then luckily we have Brother Wahid here. Brother Wahid is helping us on that. I think the technique that we're using right now is we try to find as many as possible the research paper regarding this area, right? And then after we learn more and learn more, we can have maybe like a discussion with the Muslim Council in Indonesia, and maybe we will have different fatwa, for example, after we discuss about it, because cryptocurrency or this blockchain I mean, if we talk about technology, right? I mean, I really like this quote from Mufti Farah Sadam. He says that technology is neutral to our religions. It depends on the way we use it. Actually, it's just like a knife, right? If you use the knife to cut the meat and then you cook for people, you get a good deeds from that. But if you use the knife to hurt people, then you go to the nar, to the hell, for example. So the technology is like that. So I mean, I think, like, principally speaking, I think if we can show that this technology can really bring like something good to the society, and then not disrupting like a Sharia principle, then maybe a chance for us to make it happen. But Brother Sheikh Muhammad Shahrizal, if you have any idea, feel free to reach us through to ALAMI Institute. Maybe we can discuss on how we should solve this problem together.
All right, thank you so much, Brother Fitoy. So I think it's getting the discussion is getting very excited, because everyone is trying to send their questions right now. Do you want to move forward with another 3 questions, or?
Sorry, I think I haven't answered the other questions that related to regulations governing blockchain already.
Oh, right. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
The last one.
Yeah.
Yes, brother.
I correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we have it already, like the specific like governing that. There is only that handles like a blockchain only, but it is now included under a governing body called like Bapeti, I think, which is also handling like I think like yeah, any type of any other like instruments. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Bapeti
Yeah,
is handling
yes,
right now.
yes, brother Bapepti.
Mhm.
That's they are regulating for the crypto assets currently in
Yeah.
Indonesia.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, brother Fitoy. Do you want to move forward with another 3 questions, or what do you think? We still have some times right now.
Let's do
If
it.
you if you agree to move forward with another 3 questions, then I promise this is gonna be the last
Yeah.
session.
Okay, let's try to take another 3.
Right. Okay. Okay. Let me pick.
I'm sure here because I have brother Iman. So if I'm alone, I'm not sure.
All right. Okay. So we have another questions on the.
I think we have one from Johnny. Like, what is the examples of your point of view? How to increase scalability
Exactly.
of blockchain users?
Exactly. That's the last question we have. What is the examples on your point of view? How to increase scalability of blockchain users in Indonesia? That's the first question. Probably brother Fito or brother Iman.
Yeah,
And
maybe not specific to Indonesia. I think
right.
we
Okay.
we also have the same issue, right, with Malaysia. I don't think like 100% of people in Malaysia knows this, right? Brother Iman knows this technology, right? I think that question can be generalized a bit into like Indonesia and Malaysia. Is that the last question?
Right. There are some other questions. Let me read it to you because a lot of questions coming right now. So do you have some experiences to share about regulator like central banks which regulated and promoted blockchain technology? Brother Fitoy and Imad?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Right, okay. Do you have some experience to share about regulator like central banks which regulated and promoted blockchain technology? I think what he meant is whether any is there any regulator such as central banks who regulate this blockchain industry?
Okay, so there are 2 questions, right? The first one is how to increase the scalability of blockchain's users.
Yep.
And then the second one is whether we have like regulators or like central banks that promote blockchain technology. So I think let me answer first before Brother Imad. Okay, so the question is how to increase the scalability. I think there are 2 ways. The first one is, of course, like improving the literacy, and then improving the literacy of people is not like an easy job. I think what we need to have is we need to create a strong community. So we create a strong community that has like a huge interest in this landscape, and then we can create like a program together on how we can reach out people in the grassroots of Indonesia, for example, or Malaysia. That's the first one. And then the second one is through the examples. I think even though it's not regulated yet, I think we can create some kind of like a simple projects, or maybe we can call it pilot. And then if we call it pilot, it's still okay if it's not working, right? So we can create a simple project and use it as a pilot, and then we let people to use it and then see how they see it. I think that is one of the simplest way to introduce the good advantage of blockchain's technology. I mean, in product development, I'm a product manager guy. So when we build a product, we try to build the simplest way first, and then if it's validate our hypothesis or it basically helps us to achieve some kind of like a target, then we're going to scale it. I think building a strong society with the same principles, and also create a joint or create a small project together to showcase the impact will be very helpful to scale up these technology adoptions. Yeah. And then the second one, I think I've kind of like mentioned it before. It's called Bapepti in Indonesia. So maybe Brother Wahid can share the link to Brother Kader Ismail. So maybe yeah, brother Kader can see it.
Yeah, Brother Imad, do you have any additional answers? Go ahead.
I think for the first question, Brother Fitoy got all the points out already. Is to basically create awareness in the community using webinars or events or something. And then I think the pilot project idea was pretty good as well. With the second one, I don't think IBFNet has had any has any stories to share, because we've been developing in areas which do not require licensing and other regulations. So we basically haven't had any opportunity to interact with regulators so far. Perhaps when we move into the financial service position, we may need to look at regulatory compliance. But if you're looking for stories, maybe you can join our Telegram group, which has I think over 400 individuals that are interested in the field of Islamic business and finance. So you can go there and maybe look for some stories.
All right, thank you so much, Brother Imad and Brother Fitoy. I think this is the end of our Q&A sessions, and it's been like 12 questions already, or 10 or 11 questions that that Brother Fitoy and also Brother Imad have answered. So moving to the end of the session, let me give a simple conclusion to our webinar today, inshallah. So basically, there are so many advantages of the blockchain, as Brother Fitoy had addressed today, like no single point of failure, cost efficiency, transparency, interoperability. And when this blockchain or when this technology used for the Islamic social finance, basically when the Islamic social finance, it's getting platformized, let's say, and then the benefits could include to enhance the transparency, the accountability, and basically for the zakah management, it can help to identify and also monitor the beneficiaries or the mustahiq. So from the IBF net, they have the technology of the confluence and also the credence for Awqaf. And but overall, we do still have a very important challenge in our for our institutions, basically for ALAMI and also IBF net, which is to increase the literacy and also to educate our friends, also our families, or all of the people, to see how the blockchain as a technology or the blockchain as a system could be very beneficial for the Islamic social finance. Okay, so that would be my summary. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for the attendees, and also especially for the panelists, Brother Fitoy Wicaksono and also Brother Imad. Thank you very much for your time. Inshallah, we are going to have another collaboration to increase the literacy and also to educate people in blockchain technology, and also the use of the blockchain in Islamic social finance, also for other utilization of the blockchain. So thank you. Let me close this session. So probably before we end this session, Brother Fitoy or Brother Imad, do you have any last statement before we end the session? Go ahead. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 minutes probably.
Okay, I think let me say it first. So
Go ahead.
I strongly believe that blockchain can give us a lot of benefit in the future, especially in the Sharia industry, right? But before we can really achieve that, we need to learn first. I still learn about this, and I really suggest if you guys have a lot of interest in this one, learn about it, and then feel free to reach out to ALAMI Institute, for example, or IBF Net Group, so we can discuss it together, or maybe building a society. So inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you, Brother Fitoy. Go ahead, Brother Imad.
Yeah, just as Brother Fetoy mentioned, there's huge untapped potential here for some great projects in the future. And we should really be looking at increasing the awareness of the people around us towards technology, and maybe helping reduce the negativity surrounding it.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so that would be the end of our session. Thank you to all of our speakers and also all of our attendees. Thank you to all the panelists today. So let me close this session by saying wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.